Hello, thank you for joining me. This is a presentation by Greenflow Corporation about our Squid Juice product. So before we get into the details, I just want to give you a brief background about who I am. So my name is Dr. Miles Ingwers, and I serve as the Chief Science Officer for Greenflow Corporation. As a Chief Science Officer, what that means is I'm responsible for looking at the data and for proving out product efficacy. I believe in this product, but I'm also responsible for getting the data that shows empirically how well this product works. We do that by field trials all through North America. We also do continuous product development and improvement, and we look at next generation products. A little bit about my background. I've worked in the biostimulant and plant fertilizer and nutritional space for over 10 years. I have a bachelor's of science from the University of California, Berkeley in genetics and plant biology, a PhD in plant physiology and genetics from the University of Georgia. That's the emphasis. And a postdoctorate in plant genetic improvement also from the University of Georgia. So let's talk about the Squid Juice product. So what is Squid Juice? It's very much what it sounds like. It is a squid hydrolysate that has been reformulated, that we've taken a lot of time developing a methodology to reformulate into an excellent agricultural product that acts both as a nutritional, but also a natural pest suppressant and biostimulant. So when you take squid, and squid, by the way, what we're using here is what most people would consider a waste stream. Bycatch, squid that were unintentionally caught by the fishing industry, as well as when they take squid for, say, human consumption, calamari. There's sections, cuts of that squid that aren't used for food, things like that contain the beak, the eye, the ink bladder. We take those sections that would normally be thrown away, and we literally create a hydrolysate, a fertilizer product that has these incredible properties out of it. Just on an elemental composition, this is a 222 nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium product. It is full of micronutrients, including boron, zinc, iron, copper, magnesium, manganese, sulfur, molybdenum as well. It's not showing because we're still requantifying that, but it is an excellent source of micronutrients. But I think when we talk about nutrition and plant growth, it's important to put it in context. At Greenflow Corporation, we're really focused on regenerative agriculture, having these natural, safe solutions for these agricultural challenges. And when we think about a plant growing in a field, we also think about it in a system. This image is really helpful for me when I think about the plant rhizosphere, because it's not just a plant and roots, but it's also supported by a bruscular mycorrhizal fungi that help the plant acquire nutrition. And when we think about nutrition, it's got to be in a form that plants can really utilize. So you could have all the nutrition in the soil possible, but if it's not accessible to the plant or to the surrounding rhizosphere, to the surrounding microorganisms that then can make it accessible to the plant, then it's really not there as far as we're concerned in terms of driving yield, growth, and even profits. It's not there unless it really can support that plant and soil health. And to that end, our product really acts as a biostimulant, but it also supports the rhizosphere. And I'll get into how that is, how it naturally suppresses plant pathogenic nematodes and fungi, and how it really supports the growth of that microbial community and soil respiration, which even improves the quality of your soil. So soil isn't just soil, as we all know, there's that structure within the soil. Soil hydraulic conductivity, how well water can move through the soil, which actually carries things like nitrogen. How well that soil is able to, for instance, vector nutrition to the plant. So to that end, I want to talk about our nitrogen and how it's in the form of amino acids, protein, as opposed to a synthetic. This is really important to us because amino acids are bioavailable to the plants and to the surrounding organisms. So they persist in the soil. So it's not getting washed off. It's not moving through the soil and out like often it can with synthetics. Instead, it's getting captured, if not by the plant, then by microbials, which ultimately will make their way to the plant by charging up that soil. So you don't need to be a biochemist to understand this slide. I'm just giving a breakdown of all the different amino acids, so those protein building blocks that are here in our product. And what I really want to draw your attention to is we're not just looking at a one slice pizza or two flavors. We're looking at a bunch of different amino acids, and each one individually does have some efficacy that I'll get into. But just to give you kind of that mile high perspective. So glutamic acid, glycine, cysteine, histidine. So those are the ones highlighted there on the left. those are really great chelators. So we mentioned all these micronutrients. Chelation is really important. That's taking something with a charge that sticks to the soil so it doesn't move around. The plant or a symbiotic fungi has to literally touch and make contact usually to break that, but sticking to the soil particulates kind of like a magnet. What a chelator does is it wraps around kind of like a glove and it neutralizes that charge. It makes it easier for the plant to basically extract that micronutrient or nutrient from the soil. So these are natural chelators, so they're really good for improving the availability of what's already in your soil. I also have highlighted just a couple of these amino acids because in their own right, they can do some really cool stuff. So glutamic acid, so it's highlighted there in green, it's that biggest slice of the pie. Glutamic acid, when it's done in research studies and applied as a foliar, it's an excellent greening agent. It drives yield. It's used in that biosynthetic pathway to make chlorophyll. So really cool in its own right. And then we've got aspartic acid. So that's at the very top list there, that 3.6%. That's really great for nitrogen uptake, promoting nitrogen use. And then you've got all of these others, glycine, methionine, proline. These guys have been noted to alleviate abiotic, climatic, and even pest pressure, stress within the plant. So, and these are these foliar type studies. So this is really important that our profile of amino acids is almost, feels sometimes like it's custom tailored really to promote plant growth as a biostimulant, but also as a nutritional. But when we do talk about biostimulants, soil health, and all these other important things, it's important to bring up chitin. So chitin is this other natural building block. It is nutritional as well, but it really is this natural building block. Think crab shells, think fungal cell walls, insect exoskeletons are all made of chitin. So it's very abundant. And because of that, it is something that it persists in nature and that plants literally recognize. So when they see chitin subunits, they actually respond by increasing their defense. Maybe they think there's a pathogenic fungus. Maybe you've got fusarium. Maybe they think you've got an insect. Plants don't have eyes and ears in the same way we do, but they are able to perceive chitin subunits. And on top of that, they're not the only thing that responds to chitin in its environment. So you can see there on the far right, I've got a picture of a nematode. Nematodes, of course, plant parasitic nematodes particularly, they do a lot of damage. So against this nematode alone, what are we talking? Tens of billions of dollars in North America of damage. And they're very, very hard for us to control. So there are processes to fumigate soil, very expensive, not great for human health. We have a natural suppressant. And the way that the Squid Juice product, which is basically full of chitin, works is it promotes that rhizosphere, that soil environment, to not be friendly to these parasitic nematodes. So when there's a lot of chitin in the soil, there are things that break down that chitin, microbes. And these microbes secrete the enzymes, chitinase, that breaks down chitin. And that isn't great if you're a nematode that suddenly is trying to build up its population predating roots. Nematodes themselves have a lot of structures similar to chitin, but their eggs especially are very vulnerable to chitinases. So when you have a lot of chitin in the soil, you basically make an environment that says, yeah, it's going to be hard for you to take over and really damage this plant. And that's when we need to talk about that also not all chitins are created equal. What's super cool about our product is that the chitin that's in it is an extremely rare form of chitin, beta chitin. So alpha chitin is what's in crab shells and insect exoskeletons. And I bring up crab shells because you can imagine it's not soluble. It's packed tight. You can see that in that anti-parallel crystal structure. Beta chitin is only found really in squid and some very uncommon marine invertebrates. And it has a very different structure. It's still a chitin, but it's parallel structure, and it's basically loosely packed, which means that microbes are able to access and use this chitin much more effectively. It breaks down much more quickly in the soil. And what this does is it drives the growth of all these beneficial microorganisms that really do suppress nematodes, but also pathogenic fungi. It also releases more of those subunits that plants use as a biostimulant. They're able to detect it in the soil and go, hey, I need to turn on my immune signal. It's basically giving them that vaccine, if you want to think about it that way. So really cool stuff. And as we talk about the science, these are things that are well known in the literature. If you want to reach out to us at Greenflow Corporation, I would be happy to share this literature with you. But as a scientist, we collect our own data and we have a lot of third-party trials. And I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of what some of them look like. Here's soybean here in Canada. This was done by Cerome. And we're looking at what happens when you displace a small portion of a regular fertilizing regime with with our squid juice. And you can see that there's this massive yield gain that was noted. And that's far beyond what you could say forecast when you think just about NPK. This happened not because necessarily solely because of the nutrition, but because it went up and beyond. It suppressed pests. It promoted healthy soil, regenerative agriculture. And that's really what we wanted to see. And we have seen this in all sorts of crops. We've done this in corn. Corn was really fun. This was done in Woodland, California. There were more kernels per that parallel line in the cob, but there were also more kernels around the circumference. Really cool stuff. So this is another trial. This was actually done by a blueberry co-op in the southeastern United States. We didn't even know this trial was going on, but we were delighted to hear that they incorporated our product as a part of the products that they were testing. And what you see here is an improvement in fruit quality. You know, like I mentioned before, this product, and because of the chitin, and because of how it acts on the biology, and this was as a foliar, they saw fruit quality improve. So going from fair to good means fewer pallets rejected when they take that fruit in to be evaluated and to go to market. So we were delighted by this. And again, this is not necessarily due to the nutritional or just the NPK, but because everything else our product brings to the table. Just another example, here we are trialing both. We trialed, I think this trial both corn, wheat, soybean, we've done barley, and we have really cool results depending on the crop. And I would love to talk to you about what you're growing and how our product could be efficacious and how it could be deployed in your setting. So feel free to reach out to us at Greenflow Corporation, and I can share with you not only our research, but also research done by scientists all over the world that really shows how efficacious a product like this and the ingredients in it can be. With that, I just thank you for your time.